January 21st, 2021 meeting of the Radnor Township Zoning Hearing Board. First, if you would kindly join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Because this is our January meeting, first meeting of the new year, we have some internal administrative matters to attend to. First, I wanted to get on the record that the board met in executive session immediately prior to convening this meeting, and we were discussing matters with our solicitor with respect to legal advice and reorganization. So first order of business is the election of officers for the Zoning Hearing Board for the 2021 year. I'll open the floor for nominations.
I nominate John Riley for chair.
Second.
I'm sorry, who was that?
That was George.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And that was seconded by Jamie, I think.
Yep.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for chair? Hearing none, we will call the vote. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? There's no one opposed. So Norma, that was unanimous 5-0. Thank you. The next order of business is the election of a vice chair of the Zoning Hearing Board, and I would like to nominate George Nagel.
Second.
That was John Lord, Norma, our new member.
Thank you.
I should have done that. I should have introduced John first. I omitted that. We'll get to that in a sec. Any other nominations for vice chair? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of the election of George Nagel as vice chair, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's 5-0 as well, Norma. Now let me belatedly introduce John Lord. John is the newest member of the Zoning Hearing Board. If you're a careful observer of the scene elsewhere, let's face it, if you're watching this meeting, you know John because he joins us after serving as chair of the Planning Commission. We welcome John. We look forward to working with him in the future.
Thank you.
The next matter in the reorganization is the appointment of the solicitor to the Zoning Hearing Board, and I would nominate Constantine Akadamidis to continue to serve as Zoning Hearing Board solicitor. Is there a second?
Second.
Yep.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of the election of Constantine Akadamidis as solicitor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? No one is opposed. That's 5-0, Norma.
Thank you, everyone.
Gus, look forward to another great year with you. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Ian, now is the time to call up the procedures that I emailed to you just a bit before this evening's meeting. The last matter in our reorganization session is the adoption of rules and procedures for the Zoning Hearing Board for the year 2021. These rules are available on the Zoning Hearing Board webpage, and they're also appearing on our screen currently. And Ian, if you just want to scroll through them, I'll just talk over what's going on. This form is not only the application that applicants use to request a hearing here with the Zoning Hearing Board, it also, a bit further down in the document, includes the rules and procedures that are used when applicants are submitting their materials, how witnesses are called, the process of the hearings themselves, and some background information on what the hearing board does and how it does its work. So I would move that these rules be adopted as the rules of procedure for the zoning hearing board for the 2021 calendar year. Is there a second?
Second.
That's Rich Weitzman. I'll call the vote unless there is a discussion of the board. Without hearing any discussion, all in favor of the adoption of the rules of procedure, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Norman, that's 5-0. And that concludes the reorganization process that we go through every year. Thank you for your patience. I know no one really signed up to go through all of that rigmarole. They just want to get to the good stuff, and we're going to do that right now. Appeal 2904. The applicant Anthony and Gloria Mari, property located at 203 Church Street, request an extension of time for obtaining a permit under section 280-144 of the zoning code for an additional 6 months to August 24th, 2021. Mr. Mari, good evening. Good to see you again.
Congratulations, John.
Oh, thank you very much. And from our brief discussion earlier, I understand the congratulations may be in order for you as well.
Yes.
What brings you back again for the final extension, and can you get the project done in time now?
Well, I mean, you know, if we don't get another flare up of COVID, where, you know, maybe we can work a week, you know, on trying to do this. I mean, we're sheltering in place, nobody's open, so it's a sin. We're all going through this.
Yeah, it is. So have you gotten any indication from Delaware County that things are ready to proceed on your project?
I got the Delcora certificate, and you know, I'm ready to go forward.
Okay, that's terrific. And this time, again, understanding that things outside your control could come in, but is it your belief that this extension to August 24th, 2021 will be the last request?
I would hope so. I would hope so. I mean, I got a couple plays that I'm looking possibly to make. I have one other project in the pipeline, you know, so I'm looking to move forward at least.
Okay. And really, this is an extension to pull the permit to then start. Do you have your grading you've got your grading permit now?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, you are, you know, when we granted the relief some time ago, that 6-month requirement to pull the permit was there. You've been, you know, unfortunately back to us a couple times. Are there questions of the board regarding this this extension request?
Is this a 7-month request or a 6-month request?
6 month.
So that's July.
Somebody mentioned August.
Yeah, let me. Kevin, do you
Yeah,
have?
Yeah, we have.
It might.
The extensions are 6 months from when the last extension expires, and I believe he is expires in February. So he's here ahead of time just in case, and he's been routinely doing this.
Got it. Thank you.
In case that meeting gets canceled.
Great, thanks, Kevin.
I just in case a snowstorm or something, I figured I'd go a month earlier.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from the board for Mr. Mari? Okay. Is there any public comment? I don't see any on the email line, Kevin. I don't see any public comment.
Let me check.
Okay.
I do not see any.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. With there being no public comment and no further board questions, I would move that we grant Mr. and Mrs. Mari the extension requested the extension to August 24th, 2021 as requested this evening. Is there a second?
Second.
Any board discussion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of granting the extension, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? That's 5-0, Norma. Thank you. Mr. Mari, good luck. Don't take it the wrong way if I tell you I don't want to see you again, but I hope you get going on your project and things get going for you.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. I really do. And it's been a one, how many years?
Just to ask the question is to answer it, I believe. 2013? It's been a while.
I'm ready to start crying here. I'm going to miss you guys.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. And
thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate
it. I hope you guys get going with that.
Thank
you. Moving on to the next item. This is Appeal 3050, the applicant EIP Partnership LLC, property located at 147 Conestoga Road, requests an extension of time for obtaining a permit under section 280-144 of the zoning code for an additional 6 months to June 24th, 2021. Is someone here from the applicant?
Yes, Colin Whalen.
And Mr. Whalen, what's your relationship with EIP Partnership LLC?
I am a managing partner in the LLC.
Okay, great. What brings you here this evening?
So we were delayed during COVID, specifically for our sewer module, to the tune of 3 months for a certain utility to get back to us for approval for said sewer module. We've since got approval on the sewer module. We've recorded the plans on December 11th of 2020, and I have submitted grading permit applications as of last week.
Okay. And on that schedule, when do you think you will be in a position to pull permits and get going?
So speaking with the engineering department, they requested a revision to the grading permit, which I submitted 2 days ago. I expect, a review of said grading permit within the month, I guess. And, at that time I would be starting the site package.
Okay. And as a technical matter, I think you had a prior extension as well, right?
That's correct.
And that expired on the 24th of December.
Yes.
So I guess you just kind of got caught between applications for meetings. Is that?
Well, I submitted a letter to Mr. Kachansky prior to the December 24th deadline.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Any questions from the board for this applicant? Okay. And let me turn to the email for a second. Please pardon the side of my head as I'm looking at another screen. Kevin, I don't see any public comment on this matter.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And there being no public comment, I would move that the applicant be granted the extension requested. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any board discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of granting the applicant the extension to June 24th, 2021, please indicate by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Norma, that's 5-0. And Mr. Whalen, good luck with the project. I hope you get in the ground quickly and get moving.
Thank you, Mr. Riley, and thank you, board.
Great, thank you. We're going to jump out of order briefly here. We'll go to Appeal 3084, the applicant Carbon Health, property located at 200 and 220 West Lancaster Avenue and zoned WBOD Wayne Business Overlay District. Mr. Brosman, you're representing the applicant. Is that request? Is that correct?
Yes, I am, Mr. Riley.
And you've submitted both a continuance request and also a modification to the application itself. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Why don't you tell us about what we're looking at, or what will what's going on, and the board may have questions.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm George Brosman representing the applicant. As we were preparing for the hearing, it became apparent that another measure, a potential measure of relief might be needed. So we amended the application to address that. And then the legal notice that had been run, of course, didn't include that potential measure of relief. So I wanted to request a continuance to allow for the re-advertisement with that additional potential measure of relief. So that's the reason for our request.
Okay, great. And usually in matters of this type, given that the applicant is requesting the continuance and it's not, the proceeding is not in response to some sort of an enforcement measure, we would grant the continuance without objection. Do any of the board members have any questions for the applicant at this time, or we'll save them for February? Okay, well, we'll see you in February, Mr. Brosman, and the continuance of Appeal 3084 is granted.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appeal 3083, the applicant, DeBruno Brothers, the property located at 375 West Lancaster Avenue and zoned PB planned business. The applicant is seeking relief from section 280-123B of the code to add a secondary identification sign on the south elevation of the property. The new store is connecting 4 separate properties in the existing Stratford Shopping Center to create a large marketplace and a coffee shop with a separate entrance. In the alternative, the applicant requests such other relief consistent with the exhibits and testimony. Is the applicant ready to proceed?
I am. Good evening, board. Thank you for your time this evening, and we're looking forward to being part of the Radnor community real soon, within the next 60 days, we hope. So
Hi,
we're very enthused.
Sir. Yeah,
yes.
I'm sorry. Could you identify yourself, please?
Yes, sir. Bill McNucci. I'm the president of DeBruno's and Danny DeBruno's grandson, more importantly.
Okay, and for the record,
spell your name.
Yes, ma'am.
You got it, Norma.
M-I-G-N-U-C-C-I. Thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Norma, if you could swear the witness.
Yes, sir, if you'll raise your right hand.
Of course.
When you do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. And state your name one more time, please.
Bill McNucci.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Mr. McNucci, thanks for putting up with that. That's just one of the technicalities we need to observe. Tell us about why you're here.
Yes, we are looking for relief on the secondary identification sign that is on the south elevation of the property. But let me explain what that means, I guess. We took over, which was the Kitchen Capers, which was a building end cap of the shopping center. We've also decided along the way to take over the first space in the shopping center, so an additional space, and break through the wall. And so we literally have 2 storefronts that we're merging. And you have the drawings, I believe. Take your time to look through them, and I think it'll be clear on the...
Yeah, let me actually jump in here now. Please. One other administrative thing. And you're not required to be represented by counsel, but this evening you're just testifying on your own and
yes, sir.
Doing the application yourself. Okay, that's great. Then there are a couple technical things I want to kind of take care of because I know you're going to be making reference to some of the materials you've provided, and I'm sure the board will have questions about some of those materials, but we have to put them into the record. So we're going to do that now. We're going to identify the application itself as Exhibit A1. Then there is the lease for the premises, which I will identify as A2. Then, I lost A3. That's great. There are some drawings. The first of which is a drawing package entitled Zoning Board Cafe Primary Sign, which I'm going to identify as A3. Oh, you know what? Now I know what I lost. Okay. There is also a packet of renderings that is entitled From Front Entrance. It's I believe it's a 7-page packet of renderings. We're going to identify that as A4. And the last exhibit will be a set of what really appear to be more construction drawings, which is entitled De Bruno Brothers Market Shell. And we're going to identify that as A5. So as we go through your presentation, Mr. Magnucci, feel free to refer to any of those documents that you've provided us, and then I'll just sort of identify for everyone, for the record, which exhibit it is and which page, because our proceedings, our court reporter Norma takes a transcription of what we're doing. Sure. And if you have to look at it to figure out what it is, Norma can't work with it. So we have to identify it a little bit more specifically than that.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
So thank you for putting up with that.
No, understood.
So you've got the end cap, and you have basically the first store going back up the hill, back up the Lancaster Avenue side of the store.
Mr. Riley and board, and I do have a colleague, I'll just take a minute, 2 colleagues on in case we need specific details on design. Dylan Gardner is online here, and her hand's up there. She's part of the design team.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here.
Then we have Virginia Sheets, who's the project manager of the project, but I think I could speak to it, but we're here, all 3 of us, representing the Brunos and any specific details, but I'm happy to speak to it.
Just keep in mind, if Ms. Sheets or Ms. Garner want to testify before or say anything, I'm sorry, I used testify, but that's what it is. If they want to say anything, they're going to need to be sworn by Norma before they can testify to what it is.
Can we do that just in case?
Let's just go ahead and do it. Yeah, right. That's fine.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
If you'll both raise your right hand, then I'll swear you in at the same time. You do solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do. I do.
And state your names one at a time for the record, please.
Virginia Sheets.
Thank you.
And Dylan Garner.
Thank you.
Thanks,
and
Norma.
Sheets is spelled like the convenience store?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Riley and board. And I think the best way for me to articulate our request is A3, Exhibit A3, which is Zoning Board Cafe Primary Sign, De Bruno Brothers, Wayne. And if you page through the A3, and I will take you to the page 3 of 7, you'll see the end cap and the additional space that we've integrated into the project. Thank you, Dylan. If you can go to, actually, that's not
that
A3.
One.
I was actually showing the site plan.
That's Exhibit 4.
There we go. Perfect. There we go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So there you'll see the end cap, which was once Kitchen Capers and a few other businesses. And right to the right, you can see it's outlined in black. That's the additional space we integrated. The next page will show you the facade, the kitchen capers, and to the right of kitchen capers, as you pointed out, Mr. Riley, up the hill a little bit was a cleaners. So that is, we combined those two spaces. So inside we broke through the wall, and so they've become one store, I guess you could say. And I think that is, why we're here for relief. They do have different entrances, and one is a cafe and one is a market. And the cafe will have different hours. So we're requesting that we can identify the cafe, asking for relief to have additional signage for Cafe de Bruno, which I think if you page through a little further, there you go. This is an important page. You'll see the original kitchen caper space that is in black. Again, a little later on in the process, we acquired the space next door, which was once the dry cleaners. It's slightly recessed back. If you're familiar with it's next to FedEx. And so we are requesting relief to have a sign on the Cafe de Bruno, the white portion. It has a separate entrance, and it has separate different hours. And Virginia is going to comment a little further.
Yeah, if I could add, we also have a different product assortment and offering in the two. In Cafe de Bruno, we offer a full service coffee bar with breakfast pastries, where in the rest of our store, that's more focused on cheese, charcuterie, non-perishables in a traditional market. So we have two different really product lines under one umbrella. As Bill pointed out, they have different hours. They also have different entrances. I would also point out that if you're in the space, the cafe space, or where the dry cleaners previously was, is on a different elevation. So in order to get there, you either have to go upstairs or through the ADA certified lift. And for a customer, it may be easier for them to enter through the front entrance that's fully ramped than to utilize a lift. So we want to make sure that it's easily visible and clear, especially since it's recessed back.
Okay. And
yes, please.
I'm sorry, quick question. What is the height of that sign, the Cafe de Bruno sign?
Go ahead, Dylan.
It's right underneath 15 feet too. You can see that on your right-hand side. We kind of outlined it.
I'm
That's
sorry.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, no worries.
And that is the exact same location and height of the prior dry cleaner sign that was there.
Yeah, and it also stays like in alignment with, FedEx next to it and the rest of the other signs. So hoping that we could maintain that sight line as it is probably kind of grandfathered in as the most visible and as well as aligned to the rest of the other signs.
Okay. I just have another couple questions, and then I'll turn things over to the rest of the board. Have you talked about the proposal with other tenants in the space, and have there been any objections to the proposal to have the additional sign and to have it slightly above the restricted height?
So the landlord is very clear on it, and I believe they have communicated through the landlord. With the landlord's approval, we've personally gotten. My understanding is the landlord has shared with the rest of the complex. That's what I would answer that. I haven't personally spoken to them.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Other members of the board have questions for any of the witnesses?
Sure. First question on the lease that was included. I haven't read the lease, but that includes both the cafe area and the store area?
Yeah, so what you're looking at right now is actually the First Amendment, which is where we added in the second space, right? So if you look kind of in this box, you can see original 60/40, right? And then additional 1,600 to show the combined lease. And that's why I had submitted the amendment, because the original lease just included that 6,040 square feet, not the 1,600.
Okay, thank you. And
Absolutely.
I guess a question that I'm having is, and maybe this is a question for Gus. I'm reading the ordinance, and it appears to say for a business in a shopping center, each business is permitted one wall sign. It looks like they have 3 wall signs. And I guess the question is, you know, is that separate property a separate business? I wouldn't think it is.
That seems to be like the argument they're making, correct? But that's the relief they're asking for. On this side, on this elevation, they're asking for relief for that second sign. So on each elevation, they're entitled to 1 sign.
Okay, so the way you read that, because there's two open sides to this building.
Right.
Each side gets 1 sign.
That's my understanding, and I'm assuming that's, hopefully that's Kevin's understanding as well.
Yeah, George, actually the farmer's market side does have frontage out onto Eagle Road. There is a strip of land that does provide access to this site, so that would be the second street frontage for signs on each side of the main portion of the Bruno's retail location. They do need the relief for the second frontage, or the second sign on the frontage on Lancaster.
Okay. Okay. So the relief we're being asked for here is, number 1, to add an additional sign on the Lancaster Avenue side, and number 2, a variance on the 15-foot limit.
No, and Dylan, I don't know if you could go back to the image of the front of all of the storefronts there. You'll see that there's a row of signs there. There was an existing sign there that this De Bruno sign would, no, the other one that showed all the storefronts.
You scroll up 1 or 2.
Yeah,
yep.
Right here.
So you can see the red cleaner sign. So as long as they're maintaining that sign ban in that location, they are fine from an existing nonconformity standpoint.
Got it. So irrespective of the fact that they're over by 2 inches, not that I would care, but they're not asking for relief on that.
No, and that was something that we looked at early on. Dylan brought that to my attention because it was a concern that they were, as they did their due diligence here. I took a look at it and said that, you know, as long as they are within the parameters of the existing sign, that they are good on that.
Okay, and we're good on all the square footage limitations?
Yes, this has actually been in front of design review board already. They got conditional approval there, subject to getting the variance relief here. So once this should be their final approval for signs.
Okay, that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Rich Weitzman. I have a question. I think it was touched upon during the presentation, but if there was no internal access to the cafe, would that then negate the need for the variance? I don't know if that's for the applicant or if Gus can weigh in.
I would say at this point we have broken through and we have the spaces combined with the stairs to utilize the flow and utilize both spaces.
Right. I just want to understand though from what we need to analyze.
Okay.
Mr. Weitzman, I actually think if we didn't break through, it'd be considered a separate business and entrance, but I don't know. You know, that's a good question, actually. I shouldn't answer it. I don't know the answer.
I mean, it's Rich, it's legal. That would be part of their argument, possibly.
Okay.
It's on you. It's up to the board whether how you want to decide this. Again, it's sort of like we were talking about vaguely, generally about these issues earlier. Just the totality of the circumstances. So that could be part of that analysis. Is this or isn't it a separate business? There are different hours. I don't know that you necessarily have to make that determination to grant the variance. It could just be something you take into consideration. That's all.
In some respects, my argument also would be that if it was blank, it would look like a vacant space, which would, you know, and it would be the only storefront without a sign and might look a little strange if it was just blank. So for symmetry and alignment and sightline, I actually think it's better to have a sign out front than that, but that's obviously my biased opinion.
Okay.
If you scroll down one more, Dylan, maybe it's even worthwhile to see the design of the sign. It's nothing too complex. A couple more down, I think, please. One more. There you go. So it's the one on the left.
I do have a question. This is John Lord. I do have a question regarding the Treetops sign. That's merely an example of how it's going to be lit, the cafe.
Yeah, that's right. And just giving you a sense of even the materiality there.
I'm sorry. Who's speaking? I can't see. Who's speaking?
Hi, Norma. Norma, it's Dylan.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, that's right. So just an example of what we're going for material. So we are looking for it to be a metal that would be powder coated, die cut letters so that that light would shine not only, kind of through, but also on the edges as well. So just giving you an example of what this, flat vector image is looking to convey.
Okay. Other questions from the board?
Yeah, just to follow up on, this is Rich Weitzman again. So just so that
can we put the tiles up of the faces so I know who's talking? Thank you.
Yeah, so I just want to clarify the timing. So the space that we're talking about for the cafe, that was an add-on, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so was there any opportunity with respect to layout to changing the location of the cafe, and would that have helped in terms of the ability to, for instance, on that west front facing the farmers market?
Yeah.
Or were you already involved with the layout and then added the cafe?
Yeah, no, I definitely understand the question. The way that we need our receiving area to be in the back, right? In order to make sure, obviously we're not disturbing our neighbors and we're bringing product through the back. So the back of that kitchen capers one is our back hallway, our employee office. We have some storage back there, customer restrooms, because that is the most convenient way to receive product without disturbing the neighbors, right? So the back of the larger building has that back of house storage, and the back of the dry cleaners has the walk-in refrigerator in order to store our product. So our goal was to try to keep the product storage closest to receiving as possible, so we're not dragging it through the store, kind of, etc. But that was the thinking with the layout, was to keep the receiving and any vehicles that are bringing our product in the back in order to avoid upsetting the neighbors or blocking the parking spots or anything like that. It's a good question.
Thank you.
Did that answer the question, or did that answer your question?
Sort of. I think sufficiently.
I'll give another shot. There was a point where there was no place to put the coffee bar, and we were just going to take over the next store independently, not break through the wall. But we just thought that would disrupt the experience. So there was no other room necessarily to put the coffee to the level we wanted to. And we did need backup storage, to Virginia's point. So the additional space made sense. We ran out of space, I guess, and we needed more space. So that was.
And I think you have a change in elevation between those.
Yeah. That's kind of my point with the receiving, is we built it down because it's on two different. It is. The alley in that second space is about 5 feet higher than the main space.
Okay.
So the decision, on this side, was not an easy one because we had to build steps and handicapped lift, and obviously there was mechanical and structural support. So it was a significant decision and investment that we thought through very thoroughly. And I hope that you all have an opportunity to visit. You'll see it integrated very well. And without the signage, we are concerned, obviously, with all this, effort, that, people won't identify as easily with the cafe. And the different hours are important. So the coffee bar, I know he said it once, but I'll say you're going to be a 7 to 7 operation. So there's going to be a point where the coffee bar is closed, but the store will remain open. And vice versa. So it's almost, you can't get into the coffee bar, or it could be confusing. I don't know, give too much information. Sorry.
Okay.
question on design of the building that prior was the cleaners. You see this, beautiful redesign of kitchen capers. Mm-hmm. Does that tie into the front at all? So I guess my question is, by removing the cleaner sign, not replacing it with the sign if we were not to approve, one might not know where that door goes to. Would that be correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really great point, Jamie. The facade even, the kitchen capers is painted, but for a few reasons, our cafe is going to remain the same stucco and adjustments that are happening for the rest of that shopping center, but it won't necessarily look like it's a part of our store from like a facade paint per se. That's why we are really hoping for this sign to tie into, the color that we're painting the exterior, as well as the primary sign that we're using for the main marketplace.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions from the board? And Kevin, I don't see any public comment.
That is correct. I just checked and I don't have anything either.
Okay, great. Mr. Mignucci, now is the time when you would typically ask that your exhibits be entered into the record.
Thank you. I'd like to officially request that our exhibits A1, 2, 3, and 4 be entered, and A5 into the record, please.
Without objection. Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion to start discussion on this application?
Sure, I'll make a motion. It's Rich Weitzman. I'd make a motion that we approve the relief requested and grant the variance to permit the second sign.
I'll second that.
Okay, and with I particularly appreciate, Rich, the specificity that the relief that we're granting is limited to the second sign, and that no other relief is requested or will be granted should the board take action. Any other board discussion of the motion? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor of granting the relief as requested and described in the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Norma, it's 5-0. Mr. Mignucci, when is the store opening?
Thank you. Thank you, board, very much for your thoughtfulness. We are anxiously have a grand opening scheduled for mid-March. We're looking forward to making an official announcement to the day, probably in the next week or so, but before Easter and hopefully sooner rather than later.
Well, that's great. Good luck with the project. I hope you're successful. It's going to be a benefit to the township, and it looks great so far. I mean, driving by, it looks great so far.
Yeah, we're excited about our new neighborhood and look forward to being part of Radnor Township for sure. Thank you, board, for your
excellent
consideration.
Thanks.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You. All right, there are no other matters on the agenda for this evening, so that will conclude our January meeting. We will meet again on Thursday, February the 18th at 7 o'clock. And we are adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.